Hello ethical hackers and welcome to this episode in which we're going to do a live session demo for JavaScript Enumeration. You will learn my methodical approach to doing JavaScript enumeration to find interesting bugs. I have found many bugs using this methodology, from leaked passwords to unprotected endpoints and so on and so forth. This is a supportive video of the theoretical video I already published. If you haven't seen it, you can find it here in my channel, and it teaches you the steps that I follow in order to perform JavaScript enumeration. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more of hacking and bug bounty hunting and penetration testing. Alright, as usual, I'm going to be playing with Juice Shop, and I'm targeting here the online instance because we're not going to do any harm, any brute force or anything that will drain the server. Otherwise, you can use the lab that I provided in OWASP Top 10 training series. So this is the playlist that covers all OWASP Top 10 vulnerabilities, which is perfect for anyone who's getting started in web application security. And I'm building this training on a lab that you can download. You can find the link in the description box here. Anyways, so let's get started. I have my Foxy proxy configured with my burp suite instance. If you don't know how to do that, you can follow the OWASP Top 10 training series. It's deadly simple. You just have to create a new proxy and then configure it. But this is not the objective of this video. The goal of this video is to teach you how you can approach JavaScript enumeration in order to maximize your chances of finding bugs when you are testing your own web application. Whether you are doing bug bounty hunting or just exploring a web application for fun like Juice Shop, or even when you're working as a penetration tester. I'm going to use Burp. I'm using here Burp Professional because this is just part of my day-to-day job tool, but you can work with Burp Free or Zap Proxy for that matter. I just like to use some features which are available on Burp Pro and are not available on Burp Free. So with that said, let's get started. We are here in front of Juice Shop, and the first thing that I mentioned in the first video about JavaScript enumeration is that you need to collect JavaScript files or JavaScript code, because sometimes you have JavaScript code inside HTML pages and not in a separate files. So what I'm going to do is just browse the application while proxying all my requests through Burp Suite. Again, process of configuring everything is explained in the OWASP Top 10 training playlist. So I'm just going to refresh the page and make sure that my Burp is proxying requests. So as you can see here, we have some requests that are going to Juice Shop. I'm going to make things easier for us, so I'm just going to copy this host and configure my target. So I'm just going to add a host that matches Juice Shop and add it in my scope. And then here I will just filter only in scope items. Now it's much nicer and easier to work with. So you already start to see some JavaScript code. So let's refresh this once again because I'm not sure what happened. Okay, so the reason why I want to explore the application is collect as much JavaScript code as I can. See if I can create anything. Let's see the search feature. Let's see the menu. Oh, there's a comment here. Let's see the photo wall. Can we edit anything? Nope. There's a scoreboard here, which is normally not accessible, but someone has already solved that challenge of finding that scoreboard. And I think that would be enough for us. Notice that we have login feature here, which means we will access more features when we log in, which is really what you want to do. But let's suppose for 1 second that we don't have the possibility to create a new account. And this is useful when you are in front of a web application which doesn't accept any sign up. So in this case, we have no idea what to inject here. We could, of course, use some SQL injection to try to bypass the authentication, which is possible, but in this case, let's just assume that we don't have that possibility. So you might think that you have nothing to do and you move on, but actually you can do a lot by just reading JavaScript code. So let's go back to our burp and see what we have collected. So just go to sitemap and choose juice shop here. And you can see we have a lot of JavaScript files. Now, the thing I like to do once I've mapped the entire application is a feature which is available in Burp Pro, and it's under engagement tools. And I like to find scripts. I also find comments and append the results to the file. But here, Burp just goes ahead and tries to find any JavaScript code and then collects it here. So in this case, we have a bunch of separate JavaScript files, but we also do have something that resembles to an image upload, but in this case it contains JavaScript. So this is where it's really helpful to use that feature, because you can collect all the JavaScript snippets which are not necessarily in separate JavaScript files and collect them all in one place. So once I do that, I just want to export the scripts and save them to a file. Let's select the file and name it JavaScript. Okay, I'm done with JavaScript code collection. Now, based on the video that I published earlier, let's go ahead and analyze that file. If I ls my file, you can see that it's there. And let's just do a less to see what's inside. And right away you see that it's just some one-line JavaScript, which is not really understandable easily, although you can see some information. So here I have some API/users, there's some http.get and then REST server user/authentication details with some parameters, but in general it's gibberish for the most part. So one thing to try to do is first beautify this JavaScript, and for that I like to use JS Beautifier. So you can install it using pip, and the way to do it is just pip install JS Beautifier. So I pulled that. All I have to do now is run the command js-beautify and specify the output. Let's call it js.beautify, and then pass in our JS file. Okay, it says that it has beautified the JavaScript file. Let's now see what's inside our resulting beautified JavaScript file. And you can see that it's much better. So from here, I'm interested in many different things. I might look for leaked passwords using keywords. I might look for hidden endpoints. But the idea is to collect as much information as you can. This is where step 3 comes into play. And I like to use just some simple tools like grep to see what's inside all the JavaScript code that I've collected and beautified. So the general command is grep. I like to see things in color, so I use the color option. And then I like to use -i so that the search is case insensitive. And then my term. In this case, I will start with secret. Oops, just forgot to mention the name of the file. Like this. So right away we see some results. So here we have secret tool, we have secret. I'm not sure these are interesting for us. So again, this is all trial and error. You just have to use as much keywords as you can, and the more experience you have, the more likely you will find interesting things. But without the prior steps, your testing would be random. You would just seek some areas in the JavaScript files without collecting all of the JavaScript code. This is where a methodology pays off. Let's see if we can find something else, like API key. Nothing. Maybe password equals. So you can use a project from TomNomNom to try to look for different things which are already configured. And this project contains some example filters that you can use. It's just a wrapper around grep, which tries to look for interesting keywords. For example, AWS keys, which follow this pattern. Same thing for JSON sec, which tries to fetch secrets that are well known, like AWS _ secret auth, etc. So you can get inspired by the different filters that you have here, and maybe you can come up with your own. So once you collect the secrets, you also want to collect endpoints. From what we understand from the Juice Shop application, it has a backend API which is exposing some functionalities, and it's easy to see them here because they are all under /API and /REST. So for example, we can see that there is a call to the REST user who am I, and the response contains, well, a cached response. So if we send it to the repeater and remove the if non-match header, we can see that we have an empty user because we're not using any JWT token here for the session, but you get the idea. We see that there are all the endpoints that point to the API start with /REST or /API. So what we can do here is grep and use a regular expression. We're using the capital E option and then specify either we want to look for either /REST or we want to look for /API. So in this case, let me just add the color option. We will fetch all the lines which contain REST or API. And here you can do some bash stuff to filter only the things that you're interested in. Or since we noticed that most of the payloads or the matches here are within double quotes, we can specify that we want anything that starts or that has double quote, and then anything which doesn't contain a double quote until it hits a double quote. And this would match anything that's not a double quote, and we want it to match one or more instances. Let's do the same here. We want anything that's not double quote, and we want to repeat that many times. So here we see that the color now extended all the endpoints. So you can see here we have collected the entire endpoints, not just /REST or /API. And you would ask me, why would you do that? Well, because we can use the -O option, and this will extract only the matches. And this is really helpful. So you can take that with some bit of manual work and export it to burp and then repeat all the requests using get and post methods, and you might get some hits. So this is the other way I like to use JavaScript enumeration, which is collecting all the endpoints. And from these endpoints, you can start to see that there are some interesting ones like this one, /REST user security question, and it takes an email as a parameter. So that's really interesting. So let me copy that and just go to our beautified JavaScript file and look for that line. I'm using / and then pasting my endpoint. I think I need to escape the slashes, but let's just look for a security question. So here we have a HTTP GET call with the REST /user, and then we're taking that T, which is nothing but the email. I guess it would return the security question tied with this email. So let's just go ahead and try to do that. Let's send a GET request with the email, and then let's just blindly guess the admin account. Maybe it's admin@admin.com. So we have a 200 OK, meaning that the call to the API is working, but we don't get any security question. And that's because maybe we need to enumerate the emails. So let me just real quick create a account. Let's call it sorry, I need to use this feature, and let's just to make it unique, let's use this as our email, and let's use a password and then the security question. Let's say that I want the name of my favorite pet, and the answer, let's just put whatever we want and then register. Okay, so now we have an account. Let's see if we can find what is the security question related to that account. So here I'm inputting my email address, and right off you see that there is a question which is the ID 7, which corresponds to the name of your favorite pet. And this is a massive access control issue, because normally this information should only be accessible to the user, maybe an administrative user. So another way you can enumerate JavaScript is by using the web browser itself. So let's just disable, turn off verb, and then let's inspect that page. And in the previous video, I'm explaining the process in Chrome, which is the web browser I like to do my JavaScript enumeration in. But also we have Firefox with the same somewhat functionality, and it's called the debugger. You can go to a file with the shortcut Command P. You can find keywords in all the files. I guess that the main business logic is inside the main.es 2015, and as you can see, it's packed into one line. So what we can do is beautify it. Like Chrome, we can also use Firefox to do that, and you can hit the pretty print source, and it will beautify the file for you. From here, we can Control F, Command F, and just look for things like REST. As you can see, we have a lot of hits the same way we've done with command line. The main difference I would say here is you can only do that for each file at a time, while I'm able to do that for all the JavaScript code in the application using the command line method. But anyways, you get most of the information here right from the browser, which is really helpful if you don't want to go the extra mile, although I really recommend you do it. So let's use the other shortcut, finding in all the files, and let me look for anything that starts with REST. So here you can see all the lines that match my keyword, and in this case I'm collecting all the endpoints. So here you start to get an idea of what the developers are doing, what are the features. For example, we know that there's a basket feature and an order captcha all implemented in the application. If you want to zoom on each one, you can just double click on it and it would take you straight into the line. So here we land on the same REST API call that we found earlier. You can do some pretty cool stuff, like you can even set breakpoints. So here I'm clicking on the beginning of the line and it automatically creates a breakpoint for me. So let's look for a feature that would trigger the breakpoint. So for example, the login feature. So if I send a login, let me just scroll down here for you, already a customer. So I just want to log in. I'm just using a dummy credentials just to see what are the requests that are being sent, and here we can see that there is a post request to /rest user login. Alright, so let's look for that in the debugger. Let's use /user. So this is the post request that I suspect to contain the logic behind logging. So if I set a breakpoint here and I try to send a login request, you can see that I hit the breakpoint. The web browser now stops to ask me what to do. And here I can control by stepping over this function, post for example, and see exactly where the code goes. Or I can just hit play to resume the execution. So in this way, you can exactly see what's happening behind the scenes, which is helpful if you want to understand what a snippet of code is doing if it seems complicated at first. So rather than relying on just static analysis, which is what we've done up until the point of searching for keywords and endpoints, and try to understand the JavaScript snippet, we are actually running this code through the browser and setting breakpoints to look through the code and understand what it's doing in real time. So that's it. I hope this was helpful to you. Again, I can't stress it enough. Having a good methodology when doing JavaScript enumeration is crucial. And then from there, it all depends on your experience. The more you do it, the more you will feel comfortable at it, the more you'll find bugs. If you found this content helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so that you get updates whenever I publish a new video on ethical hacking and bug bounty hunting. If you're new to hacking and want to learn the basics, check out the free OWASP Top 10 theory and hands-on training on thehackerish.com and apply your knowledge on the lab which supports it. If you enjoy learning with videos, I invite you to watch the OWASP Top 10 YouTube playlist. However, I encourage you to first try to solve the lab exercises so that you don't spoil them. Don't forget that there are supporting blog posts for most of the videos you watch on this YouTube channel. I also encourage you to subscribe to the Friday newsletter on thehackerish.com to gain some new hacking knowledge at the end of the week. If you enjoy listening while doing other things at the same time, check out the Hack for Fun and Profit podcast, link in the description box. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and go find some bugs.